Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds out his wife had been talking to 3 different guys on a dating site. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. My wife, Maria, 44, and I, 46, were high school sweethearts. We've always been inseparable. We also have 3 adult children. I never had any reason to believe she would hurt me. One day, a couple of weeks ago, I needed to use Maria's laptop. When I turned it on, there was a dating website on the screen. I looked through it. Maria had been talking to 3 guys. She had even met up with 2 of them. I took pictures with my phone for proof, then I went to stay with my best friend. One of the guys looked familiar, so I looked him up. Turns out his son uses the pediatrician my wife is a receptionist for. Knowing Maria isn't supposed to talk to patients' families outside of work, I contacted her boss. We set up a meeting. Then I got the guy's wife's information and messaged her. She immediately agreed to meet to talk. I looked the other 2 up. One guy has a girlfriend who I messaged. She promptly blocked me. The other guy is single. The next day, I went to one guy's girlfriend's work. Turns out it hadn't been her that read the message. Her boyfriend had intercepted it. I apologized. She thanked me. I asked her if she'd be willing to meet up to surprise my wife. She agreed. A couple of days later, I met up with the other guy's wife. Asked her the same thing. She told me she had already confronted her husband. He was denying it, but she wanted a divorce anyway. I congratulated her. Maria kept calling me. I ignored her. My oldest daughter called me. I told her gently to ask her mom what happened. She told me that her mom really wanted to talk. I agreed to meet up. Soon after, the guy's wife and the other guy's girlfriend met me at a local coffee shop. We were sitting together when Maria walked in. She came over and demanded to know what was going on. The guy's wife started yelling at her before I could say anything. Maria turned to me to see if I believed it. I nodded. She burst into tears and left. My oldest called me a couple of days later to tell me Maria wants a divorce. I called a lawyer. The process is starting. Update. I have talked to Maria's boss. I showed him evidence that she was messing around with his patient's dad. He thanked me. My oldest called to bawl me out for getting her mom fired. I told her why. Maria had been telling the kids I just left out of nowhere. I told them I understand if they want to keep talking to their mom. For the time being at least, though, they don't. One guy and his girlfriend are apparently working through their problems. The other guy and his wife are splitting up. We're attracted to each other, so we're gonna see if it goes anywhere. Maria's sister also called. She had heard a similar story as my kids. I told her the truth. Now she's mad at Maria too. I always liked her. We're also selling the house and splitting the cost in the divorce. Maria was against it. My lawyer argued for it. All in all, I feel pretty vindicated. I'm glad you feel vindicated, OP. Now you can move on with the rest of your life free of a cheating partner. Your ex-wife at the end of everything tried to protect herself. She would rather paint you as the bad guy and tell lies about you than admit to what she did. Divorcing her was a great idea. I would say take things slow with the new lady. I wish you better luck in getting a partner to spend the rest of your life with. Take care, OP. Story 2. My wife, 28, and I have been together since we were 14. Got married at 23 and have been married for 5 years. We celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary in June. Recently, we have been discussing kids, and a couple nights back, we were drinking a bit and the topic ended up on pregnancy scares. We had a couple of those back in college, and then my wife drunkenly mentioned the one in 2017. Which sobered me up real fast since the last time we had one was 2012 when we were both 21. I was like, what do you mean 2017? And she got this weird expression on her face before trying to play it off like it was a drunken slip of the tongue. But I've been with her since we were 14. I know when something's up with her, and I said, no, you're lying. Tell me, WTF do you mean about a scare in 2017? She tried playing it off again and leaving, and at this point, my mind was running away from me. So I grabbed her hand and said, "Tell me what the hell you're talking about." Then she just breaks down and starts crying as if her parents just died. She told me in 2017, when she took a holiday with her two friends, they met some guys and partied with them a few days before the trip ended. It was 10 days long, and this would have been day 6. They went to the guy's place to continue hanging out, and her friends had sex with a couple of them. She said she stayed drinking a bit with another and had been firm about being married. However, the dude was handsome and charming and persuaded her to have some fun. He pointed out she was thousands of miles away from her husband, and he would, never know. And this might be her chance to have sex with someone else other than the one guy she had only ever slept with. She said she resisted at first, but at some point didn't think of me or us and just went with it. She slept with him twice that night, then a few more times over the remaining days of the trip. Her friends didn't ask or say anything, and she said she felt guilty but did it anyway. On the last day of the trip, her friends and her were back at the hotel, when one of them said, "Don't worry, we won't say anything. What happens here stays here." And she just broke down crying over there. According to her, she felt like it was a full-on mental breakdown. They comforted her and said they would support her, but she made her decision to have sex with the guy multiple times. She said she felt like such a piece of shit, and before she came home, she called me and said she would get a ride to her mother's where she would be for a few weeks. She got tested during this time period and debated over what to do. She wanted to tell me but didn't want to lose me, and so resolved to put it in the past and just be a better, faithful wife from then on. Since then, she hung out with those women a lot less, and I'll admit she seemed to try very hard to be a good wife and lover after she came home. I thought she just missed me a lot, but now I knew she was overcompensating. Which led to the other night. I feel like my mind is just in a daze. I paced around the parking lot for like an hour at work, and my boss even asked if everything was okay, and told me to head home if I wanted. She's been trying to speak to me, crying a lot. I hate that she's acting as if she's the one hurt by my ignoring her right now. She's been promising she'll always be a great wife, but the fact is that she effed another man multiple times, and if not for a stupid conversation coming up while drinking, I would never know. Then there's the part of me wondering if she ever cheated before, if there were ever other scares with guys. What did she really do all the time she hung out with friends? Suddenly, I'm questioning most of our 14 years together. I'm at a loss as to what I should do here. I still madly love her, but suddenly the sight of her makes me want to punch something or just grab her and scream in her face till my voice stops working. I hate that I feel like this. I'm so sorry this is happening to your marriage, OP. If your wife had only done it once, I suppose you could try to rationalize it as a one-off mistake. That it happened multiple times is very difficult to digest in a forgivable way. You've learned that she's a cheater and a liar. You've also learned that she came home to you and tried to make up for both of those things. Therapy, either together or on your own, is something that can only help as you figure out what to do next. Try to focus on the other things in your life that are stable and steady. Don't question everything and everyone just because your world has been rocked by this discovery. Stay close to the people who love you, and keep getting up every day and doing whatever you can in ways that aren't harmful to make it through. You're gonna be okay. Now for some comments. Don't dwell on your long history together. It wasn't important enough to her to not deliberately raw dog a stranger multiple times. Even if that was the only time, it still leaves a smoldering crater where your shared past used to be. F therapy. If it was one drunken indiscretion, maybe therapy would be worth a try. That was deliberate and repeated. Go over to the Surviving Infidelity subreddit and see how hollowed out their souls have gotten trying to make the marriage work. 28 is young, man. Plenty of time to start over and find a partner who won't F you over. You're lucky not to have kids yet. Start looking up lawyers right now to call tomorrow. She cheated on you multiple times, both drunk and sober. She made a conscious decision to have sex with this guy over and over again. Then she lied about it for 2 years and did it so convincingly you had no idea. Now you have to live knowing she's such a good liar and you'll never know if she's telling the truth. and would have kept lying about it possibly forever if not for a tiny slip of the tongue. There's no way I could come back from that. Maybe you can, but it most definitely won't happen without immediate couples counseling. For right now, it might be best if one of you stays somewhere else until you feel less volatile, and maybe only see each other at a therapist's office or with a mutual friend around until things calm down a bit. OP, your wife also didn't remove these friends entirely. She only cut back contact, which might not even have been out of concern for OP, but because they might accidentally give things away. She didn't drunkenly cheat once, which would be bad enough. She effed this guy like a rabbit for the entire holiday. She did so bareback to boot. She didn't give a rat's ass about OP during that time, and she would have happily lied to him for all time. She's proven herself to be a liar and cheat who is happy to expose OP to massive risks just for some short-term self-indulgence. OP, you can actually get some confirmation about all of this. Contact the other two women. Ask them what happened. If they're in committed relationships, they might be more than willing to tell you to just try and shut you up. Even if so, do the decent thing and inform the guys they're dating.